Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to ZSL London Zoo. I just wanted to just explain why are we doing a collaboration with a Serpentine, and just come out with some of the points that we do with art at ZSL. But first of all, I just wanted to bring you back. Everyone knows London Zoo, yes? Yeah, well, it's an amazing organisation, but it's so much bigger than just London Zoo. We're an international conservation charity. We're working in over 70 countries around the world now, doing field conservation to save animals that are on the brink of extinction. We want to bring them back from the brink. So that's what we're about. Above you, there's a building that normally has, during the week, 100 scientists working on all of the issues that affecting wildlife. And we use that information to inform other NGOs and governments around the world so we can work out, what is causing the decline in wildlife and how we can tackle it. And one of the big things we do as an organisation is we want to foster the relationships between people and wildlife. And I think that's what we've been seeing tonight, and we'll see more of tonight. Through those connections, when we can inspire people to care about the natural world, we're going to see a big difference happen. And just last Friday, we had an art installation put into the zoo. It's plastic bottles. It's a massive house. It's made from 15,000 discarded plastic water bottles that have been found in the rivers of London, okay? And that's how many bottles the UK uses every single minute. That's devastating. And we've got this superhero program going on in the zoo at the moment, and there's villains with superheroes. We've got Plastico. It's a way of engaging young people through art to care about the natural world and want to sort of make a difference. So, we went free of water bottles in the zoo years ago, and we're leading the campaign to try and get London to be the first capital city to go plastic water bottle free. So we've got to really work on this. But that's just why I thought, it's really important how we use art to connect to people, inspire the next generations. So just seeing how we can carry on with these sort of wonderful collaborations. And as you walk past, you would have gone past an iconic structure called the Snowdon Aviary. We're working to restore that at the moment, a new immersive experience for people to go in amongst colobus monkeys into a forest environment. So the people from London that don't see wildlife, they can get that moment and connect with it. And that was designed by an amazing architect, Cedric Price, over 50 years ago. We've got to bring these sort of things back to life to inspire people. So just that's the last word from me, but just thank you very much for being here, and I shall pass you back over to Lucia. Thank you.
So, hello, again, third time. This is Filipa Ramos, the co-curator of the Symposium, and so maybe we can start.
Good evening, everyone. It's amazing that after how many months, 6 months of preparation, suddenly we have over 200 people here gathered, called by such a small fish as a pufferfish. And the circles, because it's a male who drafts the circles, drafts. Before starting, I just wanted to give a little bit of an outline about the performance that we saw. And first of all, I wanted to thank again choreographer and dancer Claire Filmon, who came specially for this and who was interpreting Simone Forti's Sleepwalker Zoo pieces for us and doing a set of 4 different figures, or 4 different creatures, let's say. The first were the flamingos, the second were the bears, the third was seaweed, that Simone Forti considers to be one of the creatures. And the last was water spiders, the one that you saw jumping. So thank you so much, Claire, for And not only a small pufferfish and the 4 creatures, figures, summoned by Simone Forti, but also an artist and the 2 exhibitions he made. Ian Cheng's one show divided in 2 parts at the Serpentine Galleries, Bob and Emissaries, were the starting point for an ongoing dialogue that we had with Lucia. And Ian Cheng, who is a young artist who has, like few others, been thinking about the expanded realm of intelligence and thinking what it means, life beyond the organic and intelligence beyond the human and even beyond the animal. And it was in this triangulation between humans, animals, and machine, and their forms of intelligence and their forms of language that this encounter started taking place. And one of our initial discussions was exactly thinking, how come humans have defined themselves, or how the human was achieved by escaping or removing itself from its animal origins, and by repressing this form of embodiment that connects it with other animal species. And in doing so, how is preventing future transformations closer to the animal, to the point that nowadays it's easier for us to think about human forms of embodiment and transformation that are closer to technological devices than to our animal selves, let's say. And therefore, for us, it was important to reconnect, to reinsert and to think of the modes of reinserting the human within the animal, considering also the artificial, the machine, and its forms of intelligence. So our aim was exactly that, of inviting different people to come here as a sort of collective intelligence, and to think about cognition across animals, machines, and humans, and to depart from, so the first of these encounters is exactly gravitating around the notion of language, and thinking in what ways can language be detected, be sensed, be observed in modes of interspecies forms of contact and forms of relation. And what speculative means, from scientific to poetic to artistic, do we have at hand to reflect about the ways that, the shapes that language can assume? And what are we talking about when we're talking about intelligence and one of its utmost forms of social expression, which is that of language? And furthermore, how can an institution such as the Serpentine Gallery be a space that hosts, that brings people together, and people who are looking at have similar interests, looking at similar topics, but from very different perspectives, and who wouldn't necessarily be brought together and we'd be thinking together. And so it's what we hope to be an event in which we're all going to be thinking together in very different forms that we hope to have here. So thank you so much for being with us, and let's start.
I'll just tell you a little bit about the context of this and its sort of future, do a few thank yous, and then we will start. First, thank you to Filipa Ramos, who co-curated this. By the way, my name is Lucia, and I'm one of the curators at the Serpentine, just in case. So it's fair to say that this symposium is really both itself a thing and a part of a 5-part thing, and a scaffold for a wider project, which I'll also mention very, very quickly. So it's really thought of as a kind of meeting point and moment of making public an ongoing research, which has been going on, as Filipa said, for quite a few months, and which is developing into a project which doesn't quite have a name, but we're calling it General Ecology, just to kind of know, that we're talking about this and not some other exhibition or something else. And we're really thinking about it as a long-term, cross-organizational, multidisciplinary, cross-media research project, which harnesses the networks and learnings developed over the last years by the Serpentine's programs and team, and becomes really a think tank at a kind of porous thresholds of art, science, and the humanities, bringing together researchers, artists, activists, and practitioners around themes that include ecology, climate change, animality, human and artificial consciousness, extinction, technology, and very importantly, multi-scale complexity. The aim of the project is also to have an ecological worldview and somehow digest it into modes of organization, the way that we ourselves work and think about our work, but also having an ecological worldview on the way that we collaborate with other organizations. That sounds very abstract, so watch this space for more programs that fall within more or less that wider, I wouldn't say umbrella, I would say mushroom, that fall on top of that wider mushroom. There are, of course, lots of allies and participants and sort of interlocutors in this very room to the General Ecology Project. I won't mention you all, but you know who you are. And indeed, some quite pioneering organizations that are already doing the work of bringing together art and sciences from the point of view of art institutions. I'm not looking in any particular direction. And so the biggest thanks at this point, I won't say any more, but the biggest thanks at this point goes to all of our participants for being here, joining us, all of you for being here, Simone Forti and Claire for the performance earlier on, the moving, beautiful performance that we saw in Reptile House, James Wren for welcoming us, Phoebe Tickell for the advice on the General Ecology Project in general, and a few key individuals that have made this event possible. First of all, Nicoletta Fiorucci, who's sponsoring quite a lot of our, actually very substantial amount of our summer programs, and who's incredibly dedicated to questions around ecology and food sustainability. And so her vision is also, she sort of participates in this as an advisor as well, and we're incredibly grateful to her. The Embassy of Denmark and the United Kingdom, particularly Lone-Britt Christensen, who made Rasmus Nielsen's participation possible. Belmat, London, who represents Michela de Mattei's work, which we're going to see later, who has also been supportive, incredibly supportive of this event. Of course, the Serpentine team, Claude Agil, Kostas Stasinopoulos, assistant curator, Tamar Clark-Brown, curatorial assistant, the production manager of this and all of Serpentine's live programs, Kamala Carey, Giles Round, who designed even the booklet that you're holding, hopefully holding. If you're not holding it, there's some copies at the front. Allora Calzadilla, who gave us permission to screen their film. Ian Cheng, of course, who said, maybe we should do something at the zoo. And we sort of took it from there. And this is what we came up with. Natalie Evans, of course, also at ZSL. Julia Muggenberg of Belmat, James I've already thanked, and of course all the advisors and collaborators, and what's the word? When you both do a crime together? Accomplices of this project, and any other that may see the light in the next few months, indeed years, in the next many years. Filipa, you'll introduce Rasmus. Okay. Thank you.